a lot about the ongoing US-Iran crisis, so today we'll be analyzing the same. Now, what is the US-Iran crisis? Tensions between the US and Iran are at the highest level in years after Tehran shot down an American drone. President Donald Trump then announced new sanctions against the Gulf nation, with punitive measures set to target Iran's supreme leader, military officials, and its top diplomat, Foreign Minister Javad Zarif. The confrontation has raised fears that a conflict between the two countries would quickly spiral into a wider war that could consume the entire region. Now, what are the roots of this crisis? The roots of the latest Iran-US crisis go back to 2018, when US President Donald Trump walked away from the Iranian nuclear deal, one of the signature achievements of his predecessor Barack Obama, and the reimposed harsh sanctions on the country. Iran has since threatened to exceed enrichment limits allowed under the nuclear deal and is accused by the US of taking actions across the Middle East designed to put pressure on the Trump administration. The downing of the US drone is just the latest in the series of provocations between the two nations. The US has also blamed Iran for explosions on two oil tankers last week on one of the world's most vital strategic shipping routes, the Strait of Hormuz, as well as on four commercial ships off the coast of the UAE last month, but Iran has categorically denied responsibility for the ship attacks. The Strait of Hormuz, which is only 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, is the only way to move oil from Persian Gulf producers to the world's oceans, which is why the attack on the two ships in the nearby Gulf of Oman was such a concern. Tensions in the area affect oil prices, and if the strait were closed due to the threat of ongoing attacks, it could dramatically impact the world economy. Now, what will be the impact of a US-Iran war? A US-Iran war would have a devastating impact in global energy markets, the Philippines included. This reminds us of the time when President Duterte called for sobriety and cooler heads in order to avoid a nuclear war. Speaking at a climate change conference in July last year, 2 months after Trump dropped the Iran nuclear deal and the US-Iran conflict started to escalate, Duterte warned nations to avoid egging Iran to go to war in order to avoid a nuclear explosion. The chief executive added, "Let us decide that we would avoid war because that would be disaster." What are the European countries doing to end the conflict? European nations are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They want the Iran nuclear deal to continue, but US policy and Iran's aggressive actions are making that quite difficult. This hasn't stopped top European leaders from trying to calm tensions though. German Chancellor Angela Merkel, speaking at a gathering of Protestant churches in the country, issued an impassioned call to the international community to help find a political solution to the US-Iran crisis. The UK also took steps to advance peace, sending Middle East Minister Andrew Morrison to Iran. He told his counterpart that the UK believes Tehran almost certainly bears responsibility for the attacks and that they needed to stop. The British official's visit came less than a week after France sent a top diplomatic advisor to Iran as part of European efforts to reduce tensions in the region. However, it's unlikely Merkel's comments and British diplomacy will end the US-Iran standoff. While Europe can play an important part in lowering tensions, the ultimate decisions will be made in Washington and Tehran. So with this, we come to the end of a video. If you like your video, do share and do subscribe to our channel.